Why don't we start by getting some coffee first? So Luke Cage, as you can see, got my Marvel shirt on. There's Luke Cage there. Award for this review, so I hope you guys enjoy. I've got to hand it to Netflix. They're doing a really good job. Finally finished the first season over the last weekend, and I really enjoyed it. Mark Coulter plays Luke Cage, and he does a fantastic job. There's a lot of emotional baggage this character has, and there's a lot that he's been through. And I thought the way the show touched on that was really well done, and it made this character very vulnerable, relatable, and it made us root for him even more in the end. We first saw him in Jessica Jones as a supporting character in that show, and immediately he was a pretty likable character. And now in Luke Cage, we get a full season of this character. He was great in Jessica Jones, and he's even cooler and greater in Luke Cage. Another thing I really admire about Luke Cage is it's completely different to what we have seen in Jessica Jones and Daredevil. Yes, it's still violent, yes, it's still dark, but the tone of the show is very different. And I would even say it's a bit more optimistic than what we've seen in Jessica Jones and Daredevil. There's a bit more hope in the show. Another great thing about the show is its cast. It's really got a good cast, and most of the characters are really well fleshed out and portrayed, and there are many likable characters in the show. There's a villain in the show as well called Cottonmouth, and he was awesome. Netflix really has been doing well with their villains in their shows. I would honestly say the Netflix villains have so far been better than the villains in the films. And that is awesome. And yes, maybe it is because we have more time to get to know them. We get a bit more time for their backstory. Kilgrave, I still think, is one of the greatest Marvel villains to date so far. He's still amazing. He was in Jessica Jones, by the way. This show also has a great score with elements of jazz and modern hip-hop, and it really gives a new life to the show. There's some great scenes where the music and the story elements of the show really sort of overlap, and it just helps create a very interesting narrative and progression of certain incidents. Also, you can tell it takes place in the Marvel universe. There are a few Easter eggs which are cool, but also just the look and feel of the show. You can see it's very similar in the way it looks to shows like Daredevil and Jessica Jones. But even though it looks like some of the other Netflix shows, you can definitely tell it's got a different tone, and it's very unique in its own right. Some of the issues I had with the show, I thought towards the end of the season, it kind of just lost its pacing a bit. I don't know, it seemed to change direction a bit, and I thought it ended up hurting the series a bit at the end. And there are a few other things I just had a problem with, but I can't really get into because it would spoil some of the show for you guys. But those errors aside, I really enjoyed this. I don't think it's my favorite of the Netflix Marvel shows, to be honest, but I thought it was still really cool. And one of the things I do admire about Luke Cage is that it is, or at least feels, to be a bit more optimistic and hopeful, like I said earlier in the review. Because that means we might be able to see these characters later on in the MCU, such as Avengers Infinity War. Because I feel like the direction of Luke Cage is in a way helping that to become a reality. So in the end, I highly recommend Luke Cage. Definitely go watch it. I would recommend binge watching the show, just because of the way the show pans out and the narrative flows. I would recommend watching it consecutively in a small space of time. The positives definitely outweigh the negatives, in my opinion. I'm going to give Luke Cage an 8. It was good. It was really good. I'm interested to see where the Netflix Marvel superheroes go in the future and the direction they're going to take in the future. Obviously, we've got Iron Fist coming out next year, and the Defenders, which is going to be really exciting, which is pretty much like a team up of all of them. So it's going to be very interesting. It has been cool seeing all these characters fleshed out on Netflix, and I thought Netflix has done a really good job in each of their shows and making each of them unique in their own right. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I really appreciate your guys' support. Hope to see you guys next time. Until then, go watch Luke Cage.